We'll start with our legacy session 10, which is Priesthood in Zoroastrianism. Now this is going to be the legacy of the late Dinshawji Avari legacy. He was one of those rare Zarathustrians who was not only a passionate businessman, but also a compassionate humanitarian, who truly believed in the service of others, not at the expense of others. It was this special, heartwarming attribute of Dinshawji that made him a 5-star Zarathustri in the eyes of humanity. The Avaris, under the guidance of Dinshawji, humanitarian, charitable, social, and community services, have earned the recognition and respect of the Zarathustris, as well as all sections of society in Pakistan. He was a man of impeccable character, dignity, and integrity. His love and spirit extended far beyond serving people. To all creations that embodied the essence of humanity, he found inner peace and solace in prayers and bestowed 45 years of dedication on preserving our Zarathustri customs, tenets, and traditions. He, especially in our sacred place of worship, the two revered the Darbar Mayors in Karachi. In addition, he protected the two dogmas at Karachi by developing a colony along the boundary wall so that the dogmas are preserved along with the other 100 acres of land, thereby stopping trespassers from breaking the boundary walls and coming in to encroach on the colony land. In 1941, he was a Justice of Peace and was decorated by the British government for his relentless dedication towards promoting peace and humanity. The Rotary Club of Karachi was the outcome of this vision. He was also the managing committee of the Sindh Red Cross, the Red Crescent Society, in 1941. He served as the founder president for 13 years of the Deaf and Dumb Center in Karachi. He served for 32 years as the trustee of the Karachi Parsi Anjuman Trust Fund and as its chairman for the last 5 years of his life. He also served and is at the chairman for the last 5 years for the Rajkot Balabag Trust for the last 12 years of his life. He was a member of the managing committee of the two top schools in Pakistan, namely the Bhai Veerabai Ji Sabariwala Parsi Boys High School and Mama Parsi Girls High School. It was his initiative that a few times a year he invited scholars from all around the world to give their various points of view to the Parsis of Karachi and hosted these functions as well as the Parsi Nowruz function at his beach luxury hotel in order to raise funds for the Parsi General Hospital and other deserving institutions. Dinshawji always said, God does not look at the oratory of your prayers, how eloquent they are, nor at their arithmetic, how many they are, nor at their logic. Very methodical there, but he looks at the sincerity of your prayers, how spiritual they are. His humility, spirituality, integrity, charity, and love for humanity truly makes him a true 5-star Zarathustri. Moving on to our first speaker, ladies and gentlemen, for the first session. She's a hotelier by profession, a graduate from Gleon Institute of Higher Education, Switzerland, with honors in finance and revenue management. She has worked in London, Dubai, Kuwait, with the international brands like Hyatt, Sofitel, and Accor. Finally put down roots in Mumbai as an entrepreneur by starting her own event company. Her company handles bespoke event, corporate events, and weddings, and also starting out her own banquet space. Today, the Western Parsis do not know how most of the priests in India especially live. The misconception of living a conservative lifestyle isn't entirely true. She chose to shed light on this aspect by interviewing a few priests in Mumbai and giving the conference the first and direct information of the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege, Ms. Zeenia Master. Zeenia Master.
So, good morning everybody, Happy New Year, and thank you all for being here, it's a lot. Just excuse the shaky footage that's going to come up, but I'm just going to keep talking to this presentation. I honestly had a very skewed view of what priests actually, what their lifestyles actually should be like. But this all changed once this project actually came into my hands. Considering that we come from a very rich heritage and a very rich culture. Our history dates back even before the sands of time even started. We are a fun bunch of people. We make sure that everybody around us has a good time. We're the first people to make sure that we lend out a helping hand. We also are one of the few people in this community that loves our cars. Some of us even go down and kiss them goodnight. But this is what we are known for. We've also given back to the community quite a bit. So you've got Range Rover, Jaguar, just to name a few. We also have led our lives with the concept of Humatta Hukashta Huwa Varishta, which basically means that we have led our lives ethically. And a lot of people actually love us. So I've met a couple of people who actually know what Zoroastrianism is all about. And they come and say, oh, I have a Baba friend, they're so nice. I love them, oh, they're so much fun. But that's, and it's always nice to hear, right? But, so I actually used to work at the Hotel Masoni Kuwait, and there's this one guy that actually comes up to me and says, starts talking to me in Arabic, and I didn't understand what he was saying. Then he saw my Ashwa Faroer, and he comes up to me and he says, are you Zoroastri? I said, yes. He came around and gave me a hug, and he says, I've only read about you in books. And I'm just like, feel like a museum relic just about now. What ended up happening is I went, so like King, we promised our King Jadhav Rana when we landed at his, the shores of Gujarat, we told them that we would be the sugar to your milk. And in true Parsi fashion, we stuck to our guns years later and we have stayed neutral, especially in a country like India, which is actually very difficult. Considering this, that has actually earned us a lot of stature and respect. But if you look at it from my perspective when it comes to priesthood, we're like quarreling siblings, alright? Parsis are like quarreling siblings. We love each other to bits and pieces, but we cannot see eye to eye on certain things. One of the few things is priesthood. What is a traditional priest supposed to be? He's supposed to be, he's supposed to lead a simple life, he's supposed to pray from morning to evening, he's not supposed to have any frills, and God forbid he has a little bit of luxury, that is blasphemy. That's at least what I thought, considering the fact that I came from a convent school, so forgive me. But then what ended up happening was, I actually met, I went to the madrasa, and I met some of these boys, small, cute, little, adorable boys that live away from their family, starting at the age of 10. They attend 2 schools. They go to the madrasa in the morning, and then after that they go to their normal schools. There is pressure for them to perform. They're getting groomed for a profession that honestly is not the best profession in the world, because it's not that enticing, right? Who would want to become a full-time priest in today's day and age? And I asked most of the people in and around, saying that, why is that? Why are our priests not wanting to take this up full-time? 2 reasons are at the top of the list. Lack of money and lack of respect. I have interviewed quite a few people, and that is exactly what ended up happening. Now, if you look at it from, if you look at it, what we use our priests for in today's day and age, we've actually brought it down and broken it down to something that is very, simplistic. We use them as a mode of, conveying our prayers and our needs and our wants, and it's all about us, to the higher and the divine power, right? We only remember our priests when we have a jasan, or a machi, or during the muktats, and we run around them constantly and we're like, oh, tame ai karso, oh, tame te karso, and then after that we just forget about them, right? My question to you is why? Why are we using them as a way of conveying what we need? It's not all about us, it's about the religion. The priests at one given point in time used to actually study scriptures. They used to actually know what the religion was all about. We did not have to rely on people like Khwaja Mystery and stuff like that, and people like that, because you had priests that actually studied the scriptures and actually knew what they were talking about. You went to them like you would go to the Pope for guidance or whatever it is. You would go to our priest for guidance as well. That is no longer the case in today's day and age. My question, and I keep asking this question to you, my question is why? So I went around and I saw these little boys and I asked them, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they were like, I want to be an engineer and I want to be a doctor and I want to be this. And I asked them, I said, what about being a priest? He said, that was part-time. So the priestly community is obviously, it's dissected into dasturs, morbeds, evermans, and a whole bunch of other things. What I'm going to focus on is the Barian Pashman today. They are basically part-time priests. They're supposed to be assistants to your regular priests, all right? And they basically perform their duties in absence of a full-time priest in the city. So in places like Bombay and stuff like that, you will not see it, but in the States you would, right? It was started by the Bombay Parsi Panchayat by Dasturji Navroz. Basically, what these guys go through is a 4-year training program. All right. They only are allowed to give boy in dargahs and a whole bunch of other lists and rules and regulations. And they are only allowed to wear their dagli while they're performing their religious duties. Now, the good part about this entire thing is that they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, do their duties till around 9 o'clock, and then they actually have a life. They go out and they actually have careers, right? So I interviewed a couple of priests in and around, and I asked them, I said, all right, so some of them are full-time priests in Bombay, some of them actually teach at the madrasa, but because of what they actually told me, I can't name them in the interview here today. The thing is, what they actually told me is that, I said, okay, so what do you think that the Parsi community could do for our priests? And they said that the lack of respect that most priests receive world over is one of the reasons why people do not want to take this up full time. And also another thing that they actually told me is that considering the fact that we are Parsis and our priests are allowed to have families, right? So if you are raising 4 children anywhere across the globe, they cannot be sustaining their lifestyles on the salaries that they have. So he's like, you honestly think that I would not want to give my children a basic education, right? Because even basic education in India is expensive, all right? If you've got 2 kids, all right, how are you going to sustain that kind of lifestyle? So I have to have another career. If only we took care of our priests and we took care of our religious institutions, all right, then maybe our priests could actually go back to being priests and actually study the scriptures and actually do what they needed to do. So, like when Asha Shroff actually has started this entire online thing for priests and stuff like that, there has been a little bit of movement, but not really that much. Alright? I'm going to leave you with just one other thought. Alright? If you meet the Pope, you feel like you have been blessed. You stand in the presence of the Dalai Lama and you feel that you have met God Himself. You will travel all the way to the Vatican and tick that off your list. Right? My question to you is, why, as we as Zoroastrians, one of the oldest religions in in the world, all right, have not taken care of our own religious institutions and our own priests when we do so much for the community? We give back so much. My question to you is, why do we stop there? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zeenia. Just give that question in mind. We'll get back into the question and answer session a little bit later. Getting straight into our next speaker. She was born and raised in Tehran. She graduated with a BS in Engineering of Agriculture from Tehran University. She completed her education in agrometeorology with the MSc, and she has worked as an expert in the Bureau of Iranian Meteorological Society for 3 years. She's interested in astronomy, and after passing an amateur astronomy course at the Zafran Observatory, she took up a job as an astronomy teacher in kindergarten and primary school. When she was a student, she was a member of the Zoroastrian Student Association and was on the board of directors for 2 years. She's going to speak on priesthood in Iran. Priests are called mobbeds or dasturs among Iranian Zoroastrians. When someone wants to be a mobbed or a mobbediyar, which is a female priest, only after passing courses, a ceremony is held for him or her, which is called the Nazoti in Farsi. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Parenda Foroghi.
some aspects of priesthood in Iran. As you know, more than 3,000 years ago, Ashur-Zarathustra was addressing the true way to the world with Gata, and he established Mobed's council that we called Mughal in Avesta, for giving good advices to the people. The Zoroastrian priest is called Dastur in Iran, or Mubed. In Iran, mostly we call it Mubed. After 1,200 years, Hachemanish dynasty was established by joining two Zoroastrian governments, Mad and Pars governments. And the result of that was spreading their human rights all over the world. A person who wants to become a Mubed in Iran, he has to study about religion, laws, and after finishing lots of courses, the Council of Mubedan examines his skills, this Council of Mubedan tests his knowledge in depth to confirm physical, mental, religious, and moral qualifications of him. Finally, he can be a Mubed after a ceremony which is called Nozut in Iran. Nozut, the word Nozut formed from two words. No means new, and Zut means the Mubed that has read all of the 72 Hat of Yasna. So the word Nozut means new Mubed. And I choose some picture from a Nozut ceremony in Iran. In this ceremony, all the Mubeds come together and help the Nozut to get dressing, and they put a green scarf on her shoulder, and he has to wear a hat with some jewelry. That all of this jewelry are the symbols of Amshasbanda. You can see some picture from this ceremony in Iran. Some of the people wear some traditional dress of Iranian Zoroastrian, and some people play some traditional music. And then the Nozuts go to the fire temple and pray for lots of time, and then they turning around the fire for 3 times, and all the Mubeds accompany the Nozuts. In Iran, we have a Council of Mubedan. It's an association that contains a group of high-educated Mubeds that help Iranian Zoroastrian in their religious matters. The leader of this council can decide individually. All the dasturs are allowed to give their suggestions and criticisms to this council. In Iran, the Mubeds are wearing the white dress. It's a little different with in Parsis, it's different with Parsis Mubeds. Some ceremonies are held by one Mubeds in Iran, but some ceremonies are held by several Mubeds and Mubedyars. We have some people in Iran that they help to other people and that other Mubeds to hold their ceremonies. You can see some picture from Kerman. In Kerman, the Mubeds are wearing a little different. They are similar to Parsis Mubeds. And you can see some pictures from Sadeh in Kerman. And it's several years that we have women priests in Iran. As you know, all around the Gotha and Avesta, the women and men are equal, and as a result, the Council of Mubedan decided to train women Mubediyar. It's several years that the women Mubediyar help men Mubeds for holding religious ceremony and teach others and answer to the religious questions of people. You can see some picture from this Mubediyar in Iran. After passing some courses and exams, the women Mubediyars, these women participate in a ceremony. They are praying. They pray the Avesta with a man Mubed and renew their custody allowing the public ceremony. The women are allowed to teach religion to others, help men for holding religious ceremonies like Sadrapushi that Parsis say no duty. I'm not sure about this, and something like Joshan, but they aren't allowed to enter fire temple and hold funeral ceremonies. Thanks for your attention, and in the end I want to say that because getting visa is too difficult for Iranian people, I'm so sorry that I should say that I'm the only person that can get visa and come to this conference, and from Iran, because I live in Iran, and I wish to that see all of you in Iran, because as we were speaking yesterday, we have to return to our roots. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Parenda Foroghi. Thank you very much, Parenda. Interesting aspects and a viewpoint on how priesthood is practiced in Iran. Hopefully visa situations get a little bit better. The next few coming years, we appreciate your efforts in making it all the way down to New Zealand. Thank you. Moving on straight to our next speaker. Though the topic of priesthood in Zoroastrian community is a contentious one, but this lady is going to be choosing to discuss priesthood with a focus on today's youth. Her master's thesis from the University of San Francisco focused on identity and religious solidarity among Zoroastrian American youth in California. At this World Zoroastrian Youth Congress, she will be discussing her original research on Zoroastrian American youth and their viewpoints on priesthood. Additionally, she will present the sentiments of Zoroastrian youth from the viewpoints of practicing priesthood in California. Though her research is focused on Zoroastrians living in the United States, she is confident that similar attitudes are shared throughout the global community. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Nilufer Pashtanizadeh.
Hi guys, thank you all for being here today. I know we all had a late night, so I really appreciate the support. I'll try not to take too long today. But first, I'd really like to thank the organizing committee in Tanaz for your patience. I know it was a bit of a pain sending over my PowerPoint and my research over, but I really appreciate your effort and your patience. Before I begin, I just wanted to let you guys all know that I am in no way a scholar or an expert on priesthood. As Ms. Gifford said in her presentation on Monday, Zoroastrians don't lie, so I just wanted to let you guys know that I do not know much about it. But what I do know is in the social and religious landscape of Zoroastrianism, priests are very much desired and valued, even from our youth. So I had the pleasure of writing my master's thesis on Zoroastrianism, youth identity, and religious solidarity. I began by sort of asking myself that why were there so many cultural divides between Parsi and Iranian Zoroastrians. That's something I found very evident in the state of California. For every Zoroastrian organization there's in California, there's one that is Iranian, and then there's one that is Parsi. And I found that a bit frustrating for such a small community that there's such a divide. So I embarked on this journey of about 1.5 years of finding out what the youth of today feel about that, how they, as a sub-community within Zoroastrianism, sort of take on these challenges. So what I ended up finding was the youth of today sort of disregard these cultural barriers that we have. So being an Iranian or being a Parsi really sort of are put aside, and they focus more on being a Zoroastrian. And I will say that my research is very small and secluded. It was to California, and then more specifically it was to Northern California. But in my research, I did have the pleasure of interviewing a priest, actually 2 priests in Northern California. And what I found there was that there was sort of one priest for the Parsi community and one priest for the Iranian community. And this sort of divide was really frustrating to me. So what I will be talking about today is sort of a topic that people find uncomfortable, but what I found was the priests were more desired in the topics of marriage. So I'll be talking about marriage ceremonies and sort of the future of Zoroastrianism and how the priests sort of play a role in this. So marriage, of course, is sort of uncomfortable and a weird topic for us, but I think it's really important that we sort of discuss it in a bit. What I ended up finding in my research was that when interviewing one of the priests, he said that a plurality of his marriages that he officiated were either interfaith or intercultural. And I found that to be a very beautiful concept in which you had a priest, maybe he was a Parsi or maybe he was Iranian, but he was officiating a marriage either between a Parsi and an Iranian girl or a boy, or someone or a couple of interfaith. And what I found was that ended up leading to more social cohesion and awareness about our religion in a broader aspect. And in that sense, I found that the priest was sort of the I don't know what to say, the sort of leader, and he would show the community, the outside community, or the guests that were from different religions or different cultures, how we as Zoroastrians go upon officiating either a marriage or a funeral or a jashan or whatever. I thought it was important to put this on here just so you guys all see what your fellow Zoroastrians felt when I did my research. I put this up maybe 2 years ago on a couple of the Facebook websites, so you guys either may have participated in it or may have seen it floating around. But a plurality of them were said that they would consider marrying a non-Zoroastrian. And in that aspect, most people said that a priest, they would want a Zoroastrian priest to be present for that, whether it was interfaith or intercultural. So once again, we see how the priest is sort of desired and wanted, even in our youth of today. It's not just something that our mom and dad or our grandparents are saying, hey, you have to have a Zoroastrian priest at your wedding, regardless of who it is. In terms of ceremonies, when speaking to the priest, I found that whether it's a gamba or a jashan or a funeral or a wedding, that there were sort of equity issues with the priest. So we Zoroastrians like to give $101. That's a very special number for us, American dollars, for sort of ceremonies. And in times like this, it's ended up being very difficult for them to travel long distances for these sort of ceremonies. So a priest coming from San Jose to Sacramento, just think about the gas that they have to go through, the time, there's tolls. So $101 isn't really enough. So what I found was the priests were saying that even though it's a part-time sort of weekend job, an increase in equity is sort of desired. So the future of today is the future of the Zoroastrian religion dependent on the youth today. Majority of, or actually plurality of us said yes. So I think that's sort of stand strong for how we all feel today. And I'm sorry, I got sick last night. So if the religion is dependent on the youth today, where will our priests come from? So I found it really nice to see that on the Jashan ceremony there were so many young priests there. And premature death. So this again is a topic that people really don't want to talk about. Identity and practice. I think disregarding cultural barriers was very evident in my research. So practicing more of a Zoroastrian identity ended up to be really strong. Youth involvement in activities such as this, congresses, tournaments, soccer tournaments, etc. And basically, I want to end with that our religion is still alive and well, regardless of how many priests we have available or how diminishing people seem to say that our community is. I, in fact, think that notions such as that encourage us to continue and to really show the world who we are and make our identity really strong. Thanks.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Nilufer Pashtanizadeh, very interesting viewpoint on priesthood from the US perspective. And our last speaker is going to be, it's a very, very important topic as well, and we'll finish that off with our first morning session. So, Boris Kambara is a proud and vibrant Zoroastrian. He was born and raised in New York in the metropolitan area and has been involved with the Zoroastrian Association of Greater New York for as long as he can remember. In his presentation today, he will be sharing his experiences as a young Erev in North America. He is currently a PhD student at Stanford University. Ladies and gentlemen, our last speaker for the morning session, Boris Kambara.
Morning. Sorry, my voice is a little hoarse, but you know what else is a little hoarse? Seabiscuit. And he went on to win, so don't count me out. Okay. I'm going to be talking about my experiences as a young Zoroastrian priest in North America. And I'd like to start by talking about when they first proposed to me the idea of becoming a priest. I wasn't sure at first, but after thinking it over, I decided I wanted to do it because I wanted to be there for people. I wanted to help two people declare their love and commitment to each other, for better or for worse, for the rest of their lives. I wanted to comfort people in their darkest days as they struggled to cope with the loss of someone they loved, by offering warmth and prayers and simple acts of kindness, helping people during the most important moments in their lives. To me, that's what being a priest is all about. And once I realized that, I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I packed my bags, said goodbye to my friends and family, and headed over to India for the ceremony. When the big moment finally arrived, I remember looking out at the crowd, dressed in a robe of pure white. On my left, an elderly priest tended to a raging fire while singing out ancient words. It was a surreal experience. And as I look back now, I realized that becoming a priest was one of the most defining moments of my life. I'm tremendously grateful for having had the opportunity to become a Navar and a Marta, and for being able to serve my community. But I also realized that I was wrong. I became a priest because I wanted to serve others. And what I realize now is that you don't need to be a priest to do that. Anyone can. And when I look out at all of us and see the tremendous talent and immense generosity within our community, I realize just how lucky I am to be a Zoroastrian, because of people like you. So thank you. But our faith is in trouble. The world's electricity population is about 120,000 people. You know how many people live in Auckland? Do you think there's more Zoroastrians in the world or people living in Auckland? So how many think there's more Zoroastrians in the whole world than there are people in Auckland? The whole world. One person. Okay. How many of you think there's more Aucklanders than Zoroastrians? Yeah. Well, the world's Zoroastrian population is about 120,000 people. The population of Auckland, anybody? Oh, yeah, 1.4 million. So that means there's more than 10 times as many people living in Auckland as Zoroastrians in the world. And that means if you took all the Zoroastrians in the world from every corner and every continent, young people and old people, Parsis and Iranis, those who really like food and those who really, really like food, and you brought them all to Auckland, you just put them on a plane, send them to New Zealand, make sure they don't have any fruits and vegetables, of course. The population of Auckland wouldn't even go up by 10%. That's how few of us there are. And yet, despite the fact that our community is so small, controversies are pitting us against each other. Instead of coming together to protect the vibrancy of our heritage, we're arguing between ourselves about intermarriage, conversion, and who to blame for our population shrinking. And as young Zoroastrians, we might be aware of these problems facing our community, but we ask, what can we do? Who are we to try to change things? But there's so much we can do. Who are we to not face the challenges that stand before us? We can contribute to our community in many ways, by taking part in some of the great organizations and initiatives we've heard about over the last few days, or simply just by continuing the proud tradition of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds that we've inherited from our ancestors. The one thing we cannot do is let ourselves sink into a feeling of apathy or despair. Our beliefs and traditions have withstood centuries of persecution and minority status. And today, with the resources we have available to us, there's no doubt in my mind that if we put ourselves to it, we can heal the splits in our community and pass on this colorful legacy we've inherited onto our children. Fire is an important symbol in our religion. As a priest, I have first-hand knowledge of the great feeling you get when you pray before a fire. But I also know that if you don't tend to it, a fire fades. It's up to us to tend to our religion, to rekindle the flame that our ancestors gave up so much to protect. And if we set our minds to doing this, if we stop fighting between ourselves and instead celebrate the wonderful religion that we have in common, if we prevent ourselves from antagonizing other Zoroastrians whose beliefs may be a little different from our own, if we're willing to work for and fight for and persevere for our faith, for what we believe, then I think that together we can keep the Zoroastrian fire burning for centuries to come, and under its light, we can make our way to a brighter future. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah, these are some pictures of my ceremony. And I'd like to thank these folks. Thank you all.